Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. And today's topic is about drinking occasions, being around other people who drink, how to deal with questions about why you don't drink, all of that stuff. The social aspect of being a non drinker in a drinking society. So, reading a little bit from Living Sober, they've got a great chapter about this. And I'm just going to read this first paragraph and then talk a little bit about my experience with it. Throughout the rest of our lives, there will be drinking occasions. Chances are every day we will see people drinking, see drinking places, see and hear dozens of advertisements urging us to drink. We cannot insulate ourselves against such suggestions, and it is futile to bemoan that fact. Nor do we have any need or wish to deprive other people of drinking. We have also found that we do not have to forego the pleasure of being with companions who do drink. Although it makes sense to spend more time with non-drinkers than with drinkers when we first start staying sober, we have no wish to withdraw from the world forever just because so many people drink. Those who cannot eat fish or nuts or pork or strawberries don't crawl into caves. Why should we? So the fact of the matter is that alcohol is all around us. The use of alcohol has become very entrenched in our society. Parties that any party that you have that is not specifically geared toward people in recovery will likely have alcohol served. Um, Most people in this world can drink responsibly without experiencing the negative effects that we alcoholics experience in our lives. So it is a lot of people in long-term recovery argue, and I agree with them. It's very important to learn how to make peace with that. So in my early recovery, it was really important to me to make peace with that very quickly. And because I am married to someone who does drink, who continues to drink. And I knew that I did not want to avoid my friends who drink and continue to drink and who drink responsibly, who don't have the same issues with drink that I do. So I did not change a lot of those habits. I really focused on this is a decision I'm making for me. It doesn't mean anybody else has to change their habits, but I need to change my habits, and I need to know that for me, it's bad. It's not the rest of the world that drinking is bad for. It's me, and that's who I have to change for. So, that being said, you have to gauge your own comfort level with this. Um, I had been struggling for years with the idea that I couldn't drink, and when I finally decided not to, it was there. It was almost like a switch was turned, and pretty quickly I got a very bad taste for it. I did not have any desire. The desire was really taken away from me in the first part very quickly when I quit drinking. That may not be the case for everybody. If you struggle with cravings, if you are really struggling with that in that first few months of sobriety to find the constant and consistent desire removed, then there's no reason to tempt yourself. So, what they say about that here is for the first non drinking months, it's probably a healthy idea to stay away from our old drinking buddies and haunts and to find reasonable excuses for skipping parties where drinking will be a major entertainment. It seems especially important to stay away from such affairs if we feel nervous about them. So gauge this for yourself. It's really important for you to understand and be honest with yourself about how you feel. If you feel nervous about going someplace where there is going to be drinking, then don't go. And most important thing is your sobriety, your health, and not what other people think about you. It's especially important to consider this if you are going to a place where drinking is done on a different level than just as a societal lubricant. If you are going to, for example, a party that's hosting the Beer Olympics where everybody's playing games with alcohol and the whole point is to get as drunk as humanly possible. Those are the kind of parties you might want to avoid in early and maybe for all of your sobriety. There just may not be a lot for you there. But if you're going to parties where, people are just drinking while they're chatting and it's something that people are engaging in, but not making a game of, then eventually you will likely want to be able to do those things and you will find those things rewarding now that you don't have to worry about being the drunkest person there or whether you're going to make a fool of yourself or any of the other numerous things that might have happened in your drinking days at those occasions. So, some of the things that they advise to help with these situations is talk to the host beforehand. If you're going to a party and it's at a friend's house, make sure they know, hey, I'm not drinking. It helps to have someone who's there kind of on your side, who understands that you're not drinking, and they can also tell you whether they're going to have non-alcoholic drinks available. One of the things that's been important to me is that when I go to a party, I make sure to either talk to the host beforehand or bring my own drinks just in case there's nothing alcohol free available. And that way I know I've got something that I can drink that is not that's not going to be alcohol based. Um, Eating a little bit before you go, making sure you're not hungry. We've talked before about hunger being a trigger for going back to using alcohol or drugs. Doing that can help as well. And then if you know that it's going to be a party where there's going to be a lot of drinking for an hour or two before a meal is served, you might want to go a little closer to the time the meal is served. And if you know that there's going to be a lot of drinking after the meal, people are going to stay up late, drink, party, you might want to be prepared to leave a little earlier. It's not going to be something that other people are going to be critical of, and at the end of the day, their reactions aren't really What matters, it's what you do to keep your sobriety intact that's most important. Um, what we find is that the beliefs that we had about the way other people drink were actually probably inaccurate. So, reading a little from the book, they say many of us used to say and believe that everybody drinks, and we could argue that we did not drink a lot more than the other drinkers we knew. To tell the truth, as our drinking went on over the years, many of us tended to associate less and less with non drinkers. So, of course, it seemed to us that certainly everybody we saw, drank. Now, sober, when we see everybody, it is a revelation to find that not all of them do drink, and that many of the others drink much less than what we had supposed. So that's the other thing. We get into these parties where we think everybody's drinking, everybody's going to notice I'm not drinking. And one, we start to realize that the people who notice and who care that we're not drinking are either people who love us and are happy that we've stopped drinking because they knew there was a problem, or people who themselves are heavy, maybe alcoholic drinkers who are see a reflection of themselves in us, and when they see us not drinking start to become concerned that maybe that's the road they need to go down. And that's another reaction that I've seen a lot of. There's some really great information in this particular chapter. I think it's really good to read for anybody who is just starting out and curious about how to handle situations when they're in a social situation with drinking. I will say this. I have found it incredibly important for my own sobriety to be honest with people about my drinking and why I don't drink. I have even gone so far as, I was at a party a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to someone about just my life in general, and I told them, I went into treatment about a year and a half ago, and I've been sober for that long, and I'm an alcoholic. And they said, I've really been thinking that I might need to do something about my own drinking. And that's important. That's one way that we can pass this along to other people, is to be honest about our recovery and what it looks like and how our lives have changed for the better because of it. That might inspire someone else who's hurting, who's in pain, who is in an alcoholic or addict situation to change and to come into recovery themselves. And there's nothing more awesome than that, than being a resource for someone and helping them find their way into a much more beautiful life than what they've been experiencing. So be careful, trust yourself in social situations. If you're nervous about one, if you're not sure that it's the right thing to do, don't do it. And if someone gets offended you're not there, try to let that go. They'll get over it. And most important thing is to take care of you. But it is also important to realize we live in a society where alcohol is ubiquitous, and now other drugs are becoming ubiquitous too. Marijuana, for example, the more legal it gets, the more it's around. And so it's important for us to realize and make plans for what to do when we're in situations where these drugs are around. How are we going to respond to questions about our not using them? And what are we going to do if we find ourselves in a situation where we're not feeling comfortable? Make those plans. Your recovery will be safe, and you'll be able to potentially pass it on to someone else who's really in need of it. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you back here tomorrow.